So, when a tech giant like HP drops its earnings report, it's never just a boring list of numbers. It's really a snapshot of a company in the middle of a big transition. And their latest one for Q3 2025 tells this fascinating story. It's like a tale of two businesses under one roof. One part is absolutely firing on all cylinders, while the other is facing some pretty serious headwinds. Okay, let's get right into it. Right out of the gate, CEO Enrique Loris says this on the earnings call. It's a really confident statement, right? It sets a positive tone. But as we're about to see, the story underneath that confidence is actually a pretty complex mix of some impressive growth, some really smart strategic pivots, and yeah, some legacy challenges. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll kick things off with the big headline numbers. Then, we'll dive into the two very different sides of HP's business, their booming PC division and the struggling printing segment. After that, we'll look at the one thing that ties it all together, their massive bet on AI. And finally, we'll see what HP thinks is coming down the road. First up, the financial scorecard. This is the stuff that Wall Street looks at first, and it really sets the stage for the entire story of the quarter. Okay, so at a quick glance, these numbers look pretty solid. Revenue's up 3.1% to almost $14 billion, and their free cash flow is looking strong. But here's where it gets interesting. Look at the earnings per share, or EPS. The standard GAAP number is up over 23%. That looks amazing. But then you look at the non-GAAP number. That's the one analysts really watch because it strips out one-time costs, and it's actually down almost 11%. So that tells you right away that the underlying profit story is way more complicated than it looks on the surface. Still, you can't ignore that top-line number. That 3.1% revenue growth is the headline grabber for sure. It signals that overall, the company is getting bigger. But the real question is, where is that growth actually coming from? And that brings us to the first and maybe most exciting part of the story. And the answer to that question? It's all about personal systems. Yep, HP's PC division. And man, this part of the business isn't just doing well, it is absolutely on fire. It's exceeding expectations and is really the engine carrying the company's growth right now. So you have to ask, in such a competitive market, what's the secret sauce here? How are they pulling off a 6% year-over-year revenue jump in their PC business? Well, it turns out it's a perfect storm of two really powerful market trends hitting at the exact same time. And when you look at the numbers, you see this growth is happening across the board. It's not just one area. Revenue from businesses, the commercial side, is up a solid 5%. And sales to regular consumers, like you and me, are up an even stronger 8%. This tells you there's just really broad, healthy demand for HP's computers. And if you peel back the onion a little bit, there are two main engines driving all of this. First, you've got businesses that are finally upgrading their old computers to run Windows 11. And second, there's the explosive new category that everybody is talking about, the AI PC. And get this, the whole AI PC thing, it's taking off way faster than even HP thought it would. More than a quarter, over 25% of all the computers they're shipping right now are AI-enabled. This isn't some trend for the future. It is happening as we speak, and HP is right there riding that wave. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The CEO himself said on the earnings call that demand for AI PCs has just blown past their own internal forecasts. They're a full quarter ahead of their own plan. That is a massive win and a huge reason for their success this quarter. But that's only half of the HP story. Because while the PC side of the house is having a party, we've got to talk about the other side of the business. Their legacy printing division is in a much, much tougher spot. And wow, the contrast is pretty sharp. Printing revenue was down 4% compared to this time last year, and that decline is basically acting as an anchor, dragging down the company's overall growth numbers. But even here, it's not a simple story. The challenges are pretty clear. Office demand is a little soft, it's a super aggressive pricing environment out there, and they're just selling fewer printers. But, and this is a big but, there's a silver lining. Management made it a point to say that the actual number of pages people are printing is stable, it's right on their plan. And maybe most importantly, their consumer subscription business is seeing double-digit growth. This hints at a really crucial shift in their model. Even if selling the printer itself is tough, that recurring revenue from ink and services is showing some real muscle. So you've got one business just crushing it, and another one that's facing some serious headwinds. How do you tie all that together? What's the big strategy to pull the whole company forward? Well, for HP, the answer is crystal clear. It is all about artificial intelligence. And this is where HP's grand vision really snaps into focus. Because while the AI PCs are getting all the headlines, their plan is so much bigger than that. They are working to weave AI capabilities into literally everything they do, from collaboration tools all the way to industrial printing. I mean, just look at this. This gives you a real feel for how deep this strategy goes. They're working with Google on AI-powered 3D video. They've got an AI chatbot named Neo to make industrial printing more efficient. They even have a tool that can help architects cut their drafting time by up to 80%. This isn't just some new feature. For HP, this is the fundamental pillar of their entire future. All right, so with this huge company-wide bet on AI, what does the immediate future look like? Let's check out HP's own forecast for the next quarter and the obstacles they see on the horizon. Okay, so their official guidance for the fourth quarter is what you call cautiously optimistic. They're projecting non-GAAP earnings per share to land somewhere between 87 and 97 cents. This pretty much tells us they believe that the strong momentum from the PC division is going to keep powering their results forward. But, they're also being realistic about the world out there. They specifically called out two big external challenges: uncertainty in global trade, think tariffs, and just broader economic pressures. These are the headwinds they know could affect their performance. All right, let's boil this whole thing down. If you remember just three things from this quarter, here's what they should be. Number one, the PC business is the star of the show, no question, driven by AI PCs and that Windows 11 upgrade cycle. Number two, the printing business is definitely feeling the pressure on sales, but there's an underlying stability in how much people are using their products and in subscriptions. And number three, AI is the central, unifying strategy that HP is betting on to power its next chapter of growth. And that really leaves us with the big, multi-billion-dollar question, doesn't it? HP is making this massive, all-in bet that AI will fundamentally change how all of us work, create, and collaborate. Will that bet be powerful enough to lift the entire company? Or will the ongoing challenges in its legacy printing business prove to be too heavy an anchor to carry? That is the strategic tightrope that HP has to walk from here.